it is going to be the Arden locked in.
Yeah, Arden is going to make it so that, Just Man will have to use the jump jets to avoid gauntlet walls. And if you can position it properly, if you can make it, or sorry, not Just Man, Epfel, sorry, will have to use the jump jets to avoid the gauntlet walls. And if you can position it properly so he has to jump defensively out, then you're going to be preventing a lot of damage from being dealt onto your team.
Yeah, I like the Arden pick here. They're taking it away from Just Man because the Baron Arden combo was so strong. I wonder if Mousesports is still going to pick the Sky here. I really like I'm the Doom on Sky. It's good into the Black Feather because Black Feather is going to be wanting to dive onto Baron, and Sky can then kite with the Baron and provide a really strong frontal assault with the 4 barrage to prevent a dive. So I'm wondering if they're going to go ahead and take that Sky and then potentially run out with a Catherine or Finn. So yeah, they're going to take the Sky here, and I think Finn, I like Just Man's Finn a lot. So I think he may go with the Finn versus the Catherine or Lance here because that's something that he's really good with, provides a lot of fortified health, has a Quibble stun. If they can land a Sky stun with Baron, with Finn Quibble will be really good. But actually going with the Lance here, which is fine too.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit more Lance recently starting to sneak back on into the meta. Towards the start of this season, it wasn't really seen that much, but we're seeing more and more of it, and it's definitely... I mean, Lance is a hero that's all down to execution, right? If you can land those impales, if you can get the CC down, phenomenal. But if you miss them in those fights, it's such a crucial ability that you have to be consistent with.
Yeah, it really is, but it can set up your team so well defensively, especially with the rest of Mousesports' lineup. They can use the Lance to knock opponents away while they're positioning defensively, which is what we saw them do in the previous game and worked so well, was that defensive positioning.
So really good draft by Mousesports here. Is Fnatic going to risk it and take a Koshka and try to force the early game, or are they going to go with the Samuel and try to focus the front line and poke, and then Black Feather can dive in with the Samuel? Or are they going to go Ozo and be able to jump around and hit Baron and Sky? They're actually going with the Taka. We have not seen Taka come out a lot, but Taka does directly counter Sky and Baron here.
This is a very aggressive composition coming out from Fnatic right here. It's like, okay, you've got 2 big mechs that want to kite away and stay at the back of the fight. We're going to go with 2 hardcore melee assassins that want to jump into that backline and finish them off. How does this line up, though? Because Taka is something that we very rarely see in the Vainglory 8 right now. Is this something that you can be aggressive in the early game, or do you have to wait a little while to get online?
You can absolutely be aggressive in the early game with a Taka. Taka is so strong. I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen Taka very much, because with what the meta has been, Taka works well into a lot of what we've been seeing picked up. Like you said, Baron, Sky counters those 2 extremely hard. And if you can time your Chitin with the jump jets, and use it just after the jump jets come out, use the Chitin, you will dodge all of the damage from the double rockets and just completely shut down a Baron.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about Taka is your A, you can dodge abilities, you can dodge CC, you can dodge damage. Like, that can be crucial. It's also quite difficult to time it correctly. It's not a huge window of dodging. Like, how do we expect Fnatic to play then? Just all-out aggression from the word go? Are they just going to be invading
I hope
and
they go
pushing
full
in?
Shatterglass Taka or double tension bow Black Feather Taka and then just blow 2 squishies up. If Mousesports gets an Echo on Lance late game and Sky Baron get late game, then Mousesports will win, because Echo Lance is going to be able to double CC a Taka or a Black Feather with 2 get in walls.
All right, so once again, we've had this conversation a lot of times. Fnatic have to be proactive. They have to make things happen for themselves if they want to take the series. Let's bear in mind how important this series is. Mouse are in the tiebreaker right now on that 19-point tiebreaker. Fnatic in first place, but easily could be toppled this week if other teams manage to take it. We've got to get on into this game. This is going to be hype. I cannot wait to jump onto the map for this one. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know whether you want Fnatic to continue their reign of dominance or whether you think Mouse are going to climb back up to the top of the ladder. It's time to head onto the Halcyon Fold, though, and pass it back once again to Action Jackson and Dowsy.
And I think that is the key word of this series here, Munchables. Proactivity, especially for Fnatic. A dive composition means they cannot be waiting for a miracle to drop in their laps. They have to be going in and they have to be deleting either at full or I'm the Doom off of the Halcyon Fold.
You know, honestly, Dowsy, we've been talking about being proactive in the early game quite a bit today. I've seen a few comps where they had slight edges in jungle 2 versus 2s, and I felt like they should be a bit more aggressive. This is really the extreme of that. And based on what we've seen today, I don't know if they're going to be able to execute on being that aggressive. it's something that no team has really been, aside from, I guess, Leon on Calamity, but we saw how that worked out. Let's try and keep our focus on that in the early game. In the later game, definitely I think we've got to shift our focus a little bit to looking at how, I'm the Doom and Apfel are kiting around and things like of that nature. But for the time being, really, the onus is on Fnatic. They got to get stuff done.
Yeah, they really do. And very intrigued to see how Palmatoro plays this Taka. We don't get to see Taka very often at the higher levels of competitive play. Into Sky certainly can be very advantageous, but Justman can shut it down with a well-timed Giffian War. You see Palmatoro aggressing deep, looking for some damage, but Net2Let says no man, double and pale for days, and that was all across the middle of the map. And this
I'm pretty excited to see Taka, by the way. I think this is a pick which obviously has not been very prevalent recently, but it does have a place. The place is, I want to deal with this Baron early, I want to deal with this Sky early, that kind of thing. It is going to be probably the proc build, based on the fact that the Stormguard banner has been picked up already. I actually quite like that when you've got someone who is dealing heavy weapon out of the lane like a Blackfeather. I think that they have a lot of upfront damage. They can really jump in and lay down the pain. But Net spending all of his time up here in lane is something I think is kind of interesting. Blackfeather should, again, by farming on the top side of his lane, hopefully be able to deal quite nicely with gank attempts, even without the inherent ability he gains at level 6.
I'm the dude's in trouble here, JJ. Oh. He may go down for first blood. Palmatoro, no, it's Net who picks it up, but Fnatic will find it nonetheless. It's the proactivity in the jungle. Starting to find it. And Palmatoro now looking to find Justman, who tried to protect his backs but only loses his life. It's Net2Let on a killing spree, and these backs to be taken by Fnatic.
Very strong stuff there. I like how at the beginning of the game I was like, yeah, we got to keep our eyes on the early aggression, and then I looked at the lane to try and make a point about it. Let's refocus on the jungle, guys. Really, really strong play out of Fnatic, doing exactly what they need to be doing, applying the pressure early. It is unfortunate that Net2Let got the kill credit for both of those, because you would like Palmatoro to snowball out of control here. That's not necessarily something that will happen too easily.
4-minute fountains, man. That's what it's about.
It's only about that if you can leverage it into something, like maybe a very early sentry kill or a gold mine kill. Because Fountain is not that useful in a 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2 skirmish, but it's really good in a full team fight. I mean, it's good in a 2 versus 2, but it depends on the type of 2 versus 2 and what you're trying to accomplish, is the point I'm making. Here comes a bit of a dive from Fnatic. I like that play, but I think they're going to find the most fruitful endeavors in the jungle, to be honest. It's pretty easy for Apfel to just rocket jump back.
Net2Let is sitting very close to finishing that fountain. It should be on track to go down and take it now, actually, as far as the gold is concerned. So is very much a 4-minute fountain for Net2Let, whilst Justman is going to struggle to get his. He's going to stick around in lane, though, just provide a bit of pressure onto this Baron, whilst Justman has to roam down into the jungle to make sure that I'm the Doom is safe. They're trying to delay I'm the Doom as much as possible on this guy, and they could look to do it for a little bit, but as soon as I'm the Doom hits level 6, there is opportunities to catch someone in a death from above. Sorrow Blade completed for Apfel at this 4.5 minute mark. Very nice timing for him. Techno JJ with the Poison Shiv first, then likely to go into a Sorrow Blade of his own. And Net2Let maybe not going as flashy as far as timings are concerned, but does complete that fountain now, has a lot of consumables in his inventory as well, the flares and the scout traps vision. Going to be a pretty big talking point, I think, this game, AJ, especially since they need to be keeping tabs on where this Tucker is.
I'm glad you mentioned that, actually. I was about to say, I think it's important to realize that, yeah, he didn't go for the fastest fountain possible. He actually chose, because he didn't need it, to go for vision instead, and I think that was the smarter option. Helps him leverage his advantage into more kills more easily.
There's a big fight breaking out here. Palmatoro in that death from above, but gets healed up. Fountains have been used by both teams, but it was a 2 versus 3 for too long, and Fnatic are just too low to be able to continue into this one. Just great ultimate positioning, really, from I'm the Doom.
I'd like to see Palmatoro focus a little bit more on counter jungling in the strictest sense. You know, actually taking away camps from Mousesports. currently, Palmator is actually behind on farm to I'm the Doom, even with I'm the Doom going down early. And I don't feel like Palmator is finding necessarily great advantages elsewhere on the map. Plus, if you're going Stormguard banner, part of the reason why that's historically been so good is that you're able to kill camps very quickly, which is obviously great if you're invading and taking your opponent's camps. But again, Palmatoro choosing the more obvious plan of just going for kills when he finds the opportunity, which he hasn't been finding all that frequently.
See how this little engagement happens here. I think Palmatoro did manage to sneak up into that top bush without Mouse knowing he was there. And there it is, the engage coming in. X-Retsu, good dodge onto Justman's Impale. Atful down to half HP now. There's a lot of mortal wounds on the side of Fnatic. That X-Retsu, the poison chip early on Techno JJ. Atful and I'm the Doom, many ways to have their healing cut down.
Yeah, and that's going to be really, really nice as we head into the later stages of the game for them. Looking at item power spikes for a second, it is worth noting that Techno now has his Poison Shiv and enough gold in the bank to go back and pretty soon upgrade to maybe a Sar Blade or even a Serpent's Mask we sometimes see as a second item in Europe especially after the Poison Shiv. So that's going to be a nice power spike for the side of Fnatic. One thing to note though is that regardless of all these power spikes, it's actually really difficult for Fnatic to push lane. Like, they don't have good turret taking on their team, and in fact there's good defensive turrets on the side of Mouse. So Fnatic need to find their advantages in the jungle, whether it be by getting kills or stealing camps or just by getting gold mine. You know, they need to do something in that area of the map. They're not well positioned to do it just yet. They have not been prioritizing that part of the map. They've been focusing on getting Techno good farm. I don't think this is a race you win. You know, I don't think that getting Techno farm is going to matter necessarily against a Baron and the Sky in the late game.
Very interesting just there. Net-to-let with a gauntlet that had been dodged well and truly by Atful before it was even laid. A little bit slow on the timing there. I guess Palmatoro kind of forced the jump jets back and Net-to-let didn't really adapt to the situation. I'm intrigued to see if Techno JJ does go back and pick up this Sar Blade. Has the money now, costs 2,100 with the heavy steel in your inventory. Palmatoro's decided to go a Shatterglass build here. Really looking for that burst damage. Has a battery in his inventory. May go towards a broken Myth next. Infusion purchased up. Fnatic recognizing that this is their opportunity to really start snowballing the game, especially with Techno JJ now Sora Blade there. However, the wasted gauntlet does mean it is 60 seconds until they are going to have CC to aid them.
They might not need it. I mean, they did just spike heavily on 2 damage items, but I think realistically they do, and that's bad news. You know, they're giving a lot of time and space to Mousesports who've had 2 kills. Remember that game earlier on where Leon just went crazy? Yeah, it didn't work, but that was the kind of aggression that we needed to see. He just needed to be backed up by his team and not go so deep. This is not even close to that. I think Fnatic have maybe even lost the ability to have the edge in fights. That's how slow out of the gates they have been this game. Because you gotta remember, like, Baron is building Tension Bow this game. Tension Bow and Sara Blade, look at how much damage he's gonna do against Palmatoro, who has no defense.
Yeah.
This is a really difficult game from this onwards for Fnatic to win. And I'm surprised in a game with stakes as high as they were, they actually committed to a strategy which is so linear and so telegraphed, right? Like, you know what they're trying to do these things and you'll stop it.
It's, it seems odd. Fnatic are not playing like the Fnatic that we've seen here in Europe. So often, you know, Fnatic praised for their aggression, for their, you know, adaptation of North American meta, bring it to Europe and just playing like an entirely different European team. This week, there's something off, and I'm not entirely sure what it is and the reasons for it. Apart from the fact that it is just very slow gameplay. Oh, jump jets have been used at full. This is when you go in. There's the gauntlet. It's blocked up immediately, though. Fnatic aren't able to execute on Apful's aggression there. Could have been a forced error. The reflex block for Apful, a very early Aegis, going to save his life.
Yeah, nice stuff there. I like that he went for this reflex blocks early too, and the fact that he upgraded to an Aegis actually, because you got the Shadow Glass on Tetno. Sorry, Palma. It makes some sense. Man, this is getting really rough. Fnatic, maybe just getting some vision, baiting them to a rotation, and then pushing turret. Gotta get some kind of objective, so that might be the answer to sort of get the ball rolling here for Fnatic again. As it stands, they're not accomplishing much, though. I like Clockwork. I think we're past the point in the game where one rotation of spells for Taka does anything, so 2 is probably pretty useful. Maybe even an Echo would be fine later on. We'll see.
I think you do need to get into the Broken Myth as quickly as possible, because you can just see the shielding is being stacked up and prioritized. Yeah. There is just not enough damage without a piercing spear, piercing shard even, for Palmatoro. I'm the Doom's going to have his Aegis finished soon as well. Impale dodged. Fnatic backing out of this corridor. When are they going to finally engage their need? 30 seconds on the gauntlet means they aren't going to be looking to go too aggressively. Mouse, they are being given everything they need here. The ability and time to scale up in towards the late game. Get this Baron and this Skye towards those scary stages. You see Nettelet signaling 16 seconds on his ultimate. 10 now. Is going to be a War Treads purchased up here. That could be the sign that Fnatic are going to look to try and use that gauntlet off cooldown.
You know, Palmatoro is a player who historically I've thought his Taka and his Kroll, for example, very, very impressive. But recently, and you've heard the desk mention this a couple of times today, he's been playing a lot of Scarf. He's been playing these current meta heroes that work a little bit differently, and I feel like he's not settling very nicely back into the role of being the aggressor. You know, so that's not what Scarf does, for example. I wonder how much practice Fnatic has put into this comp. It looks a little unpolished.
13 minutes. This aggression we expected just hasn't been there. That is possibly the buzzword, proactivity, not being found. No points on the board as far as that is concerned. Category has not been unlocked. Fnatic, though, are in the lane. Going to start pushing forward, trying to get this minion wave pushed up. A Broken Myth finish, but Justman just playing with his food. Double Impale.
That
really
was a 1 versus 3 trade. He came out unscathed and did respectable damage to 2 people. What do you do? Like, that just breaks my spirit.
I love how cocky Justman is as a player as well. Like, Justman's such a fun person to be around in person. He's got such a funny personality to him, and you can just kind of see it on the House he unfolds sometimes. I love it when a player's real-life personality is, like, visible in their gameplay.
Yeah, I like it as well. That's why when I play Weapon Wire, you know, it's me. Just goofy. So, another thing to note here is that Palma has not yet gotten any more defense. By any more, I mean any. This is a huge problem if Baron ever finds him out of position. Now, Baron is on 2 items, coming pretty close to the 3rd. As soon as he hits Tyrant's Monocle, that's close to a one-shot. There we go. There's the armor. He heard me.
Yeah, well, loud enough a player will hear you is what I've learned from my dad watching lots of sports growing up. On the TV, of course. But yeah, no, it's necessary. I actually wonder, like, when do you start building a Slumbering Husk, especially for Atful? You know, could have made the argument Slumbering Husk could have been useful, but I do think the Aegis is certainly viable as well. In fact, probably in this matchup alone, the Aegis makes so much more sense. But for Palmatoro, for Nettelet, for Techno JJ, who are going to be diving in onto this Baron, have to be tanking up whatever harassment comes their way. There are arguments to be made that way, I guess. Palmatoro, though, we've hit this 15-minute stage, and it always scares me, AJ, when a player has not completed Broken Myth on their CP carry before 15 minutes, because right now, every 500 gold is going towards an infusion, and you're just not going to have, unless you win a massive team fight, the gold to ever finish that Broken Myth. Palmatoro may never finish it this game, and that's scary for Fnatic.
It's not even as if that's all he needs to. Like, he does need a Slumbering Husk. You bring up a good point. I think that in the fights, what you want to have, like let's say that he had a Slumbering Husk and a Broken Myth, the ideal situation for this Taka is that you go in, you deal a brunt of damage up front, the turnaround happens onto you, not your teammates. You sort of act as the lightning rod, right? You draw the attention. Slumbering Husk protects you. You reset by using your Kaku, your stealth. And then afterwards, you're able to go back in with a new rotation because you've got Clockwork. That's the way you want these fights to go if you're planning it out ahead of time, if you're thinking about your build. It's not close to that right now. Right now, he goes in, dies before Clockwork does it.
TennoJJ taking so much damage, walks into the death from above and takes some more. This is looking like it's going to be turret going down very shortly for Fnatic, unless Palmatoro scares them off with this big, scary Taka. No, it is Mouse just pushing forward and finding the first turret of this game at 16.5 minutes. That pushes their advantage to a whole whopping 600 gold here. At the almost 17-minute mark. There's an Echo purchase up for Net2Let. Double gauntlets going to be a thing to watch for here. I actually think
definitely big.
Yeah, it is big. This. You have to think that Fnatic have the confidence now to fight and engage with double gauntlet.
You can hope that. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that it's that likely, though. I mean, they've been very cautious up until this point. It's... I don't know. I don't know where the problem is lying on Fnatic, but the choices are quite strange. Atlas I also don't necessarily like that much. I don't think that's what Apple is likely going to be able to just still crush you. Plus, I'm the Doom is not a like you get one person worth of threat out of this, right? Like you threaten Apple.
Here we go.
That's it.
Gauntlets go down. Gonna be the first
wasted.
One.
He wasted it.
It's not gonna. Palmatoro is almost dead. Death from above is gonna start eating him alive, and it is going to be him losing his life. TennoJJ trying to get onto Apfel here, but he cannot. Knocked against the wall, and it's just once more Justman styling, and Apfel with the triple kill. Impressive. Mouse have done it. Found the first team fight win of this game, and they're gonna get a Kraken.
Man. This game's been over for a while, I think, unless there's really a huge comeback.
Only because of mentality and hesitation, AJ. Not even because Mouse is so far ahead, but just because, whatever reason, Fnatic are so hesitant to be playing to their win conditions.
Yeah, it's brutal though. It's really brutal to watch because Fnatic is a team that in the past weeks have impressed me so much, right? They've been very, very aggressive pace setting. They've played their later game comps very cautiously and patiently. Like they've been able to do it all, but this game it has not felt like that in the slightest. I'm trying to think if there's a window they can actually create here. It would have to be a good double gauntlet. They need to like gauntlet in, find a double stun on the carries, and then like immediately echo gauntlet back so the edge hits again the same targets and you just like stun them for 5 seconds. That's how you come back for Fnatic. It's not
50 seconds though on the gauntlets. Well, the Echo even, and Palmatoro is almost dead. Net2Let taking a lot of damage. Palmatoro trying to escape. TennoJJ will go in. Can he find the damage though? Onto Apfel is the question. It doesn't seem like he can. Oh, he trades the kills, but there's still a Kraken to deal with. And if this Taka loses its life, then it's just GG at this point for Mouse. I'm the Doom pushing in. Death from above, forcing Net2Let around the corner. This Kraken is so healthy. Can just push on into the base and it will likely find another turret, even though there is that banner on Palmatoro. It's not going to be taking the Kraken down quick enough, I don't believe. I'm intrigued to hear from these players what's going on in the Fnatic camp. What's the reasoning?
That was not quite as good as maybe it could have been actually from the side of Mouse, but I don't think it really does enough for Fnatic. That's definitely the kind of thing which gives me the slightest glimmer of hope, though, because if you're able to trade a kill in that situation, you're doing something right, and your opponents are maybe doing something wrong too. But Fnatic, they definitely are not out of the game. It's very hard to find a window though. Like they can't get any vision down, which is one of the bigger issues too. Like Taka wants to see someone coming a ways away so they can set up an ambush.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do that right now. You can't leave your base practically. So in terms of vision, flares are going to be critical for Net. I think, as good they is for. But I'd pick up more as soon as possible.
What Palmatoro is still holding on to this banner. He doesn't need it anymore. He's got Clockwork. That is providing the cooldown reduction he needs, shortly selling it for some shielding so he survives against the Doom. Or even a reflex block, just because there's so much CC. Ah dear, I'm struggling to think about the justifications that Fnatic currently, I guess, playing with.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think there's been some missteps both in their actual play and also their itemization, which is exacerbating that problem. Definitely, you know, there needs to be a focus on defensive itemization for Palmatoro at this point, but it's unfortunate that he still, you know, you mentioned it at 15 minutes. Guess what? It's 21 now. Still no broken myth. That's a huge deal, obviously.
Yep.
Mouse,
and he's nowhere near it either. He's a whole 1,600 gold away from it.
But he has gotten infusion. Hey,
that's it.
All right, so I think Mouse just forces Kraken here. You know, that's the obvious play.
Gauntlet. It's caught Doom. Here's the second one. That's a pretty big gauntlet.
That is good.
Apfel's caught in it. Can they take him down is the question. No, they cannot. He finds one, goes down. It's Doom now racing away, but he is in so much trouble. Fnatic, finally, the aggression is there. They find 2 kills. Just man, last man standing. Can't get away from this. Goes over the wall. TechnoJJ going to be chasing down the on-point connects, and that is Just Man dead. Just as the Kraken spawns.
Wow.
Holy moly, they've done it. Won a team fight here. They're pushing the lane as well. The Kraken not even the priority for them. Looks like they're going to push turrets instead.
There is always the room for human error, man. And if you use your reflex block and do not successfully block a gauntlet, when there's an Echo Gauntlet on the field, that feels real bad, man. That was rough.
I like this move, actually.
Got punished super hard. Speaking of the move, though, I do want to talk about it as well. I agree with you. I think pushing turrets here makes a lot more sense. We talked about vision and how critical it is and how you want to be setting up picks if you're on the side of Fnatic. Taking turrets accomplishes that goal far more effectively than taking Kraken. Not to mention, even if you do take Kraken, can you really push with it, Fnatic? Can you really actually do anything with it? I think probably
there it is. That's the reason I like it, is because it meant the Broken Myth comes online as well. You just gain so much gold for Palmatoro, which you would have got for a Kraken. Kraken doesn't give you gold until you push the turrets, and when you're pushing with the turrets, you're at risk of team fight and still being behind. So by pushing the turrets, Fnatic get the gold onto Palmatoro that they need to finish his Broken Myth. He sells that Stormguard banner as well, so now he can go in towards the shielding as well. Very clever from Fnatic. Most teams would just take the Kraken there, but they recognize they needed to get Palmatoro online. He has the gold for infusion, and now Fnatic will be in a much stronger position as far as teamfights are concerned.
You know, it's not that often that the short-term loan is better, and that's what Kraken would have been there, right? It would have been short-term already powerful, but
Gauntlet goes down. Look at Doom. He's very low, but Palmatoro is as well. TechnoJJ trying to chase, but he is going down. They're focusing the sky. That's going to be Doom taken down. And now Apfel so far from the back, but here comes Palmatoro over the wall. Knocked into the wall. He is in so much trouble, but he manages to walk away. A double root. Apfel dives over. 1, 2. Double kill for him, and TechnoJJ has to escape. It all went wrong. For some reason, they changed their focus. We talked that they may, AJ, perhaps they feel threatened by the sky, but after winning by taking down Apfel so early on in the team fight, it did seem odd that they would focus on Doom.
You know, maybe I'm asking too much after how much of a struggle it was to get the Broken Myth, but you kind of need a reflex block too, Palmatoro. Getting stunned against the wall right at the end when he had Broken Myth stacks, that was his time to shine, but he couldn't do anything because he got stunned up, and, you know, fighting in a corridor like that is what Mouse are going to aim to make Fnatic do. They're going to kite into that position. It's very easy with jump jets. At this point, Kraken feels a lot better. You know, you got some capital to work with, taking your short-term loan, but it really is only a short-term loan. You know, you can pay it back soon.
Can he do anything about this Kraken?
I doubt
Doom is making his way down towards the lane. That's going to be the Iron Cannon revealing TechnoJJ is no longer in that tri-bush. I think they have to give it up here, but giving up the Kraken, they put themselves in such a hard position now. They're going to have to look for basically an assassination immediately off the back of this Kraken push, or else this is GG, and Mouse have upset Fnatic. There's the reflex block. It wasn't too much to ask for. Palmatoro agrees, but will make the difference.
All right, let's see how much Mouse can get done here, though. They've got to get through only one turret, but Fnatic has started to show a lot more capacity for snappy engages.
Gauntlet. Blocked. There's no echo. Where's the echo? It's not up! Oh no! They have to chase down and they have to find the kills, but look at what Mouse are doing. They're just playing a game of cat and mouse. Which do you want to take down, us or the Kraken? Because you're not taking down us. Now Fnatic are being marched back to their base and the Kraken gonna beat them to the punch. They're looking to try and get a kill here onto Justman, but he's really not the focus. Dive onto Apfel, but look at Palmatoro's health. He's getting chunked down, but can Apfel survive now? Techno JJ, oh, he might go down. He does. Is it too late? I'm the Doom focused by Palmatoro. Lots of damage, and that is Justman going down as well. The Kraken is gonna take this turret, but they surely have the damage to finish the job. Ooh, Netalet doesn't go back, but it's not necessary for him to go back, I don't believe. It is just these two damage dealers trying to take down the Kraken. Netalet basically buying time as well, keeping the Sky at bay. The Kraken wailing down at the Vein Crystal. They are doing the damage, but only a sneeze, I think, coming out of I Am the Doom, and the Vein Crystal will fall down. I don't even think they take the Kraken in time. They won't. This is going to be GG to Mouse. Doom walks in, secures it, and Fnatic have been taken down by Mousesports.
Wow, what a game. There was some real moments towards the end where, against all odds, and you gotta understand, it really was unlikely Fnatic were coming back there. They looked like they might for a second, which speaks volumes about how good the team is. But Mousesports, they were able to drive that final nail into the coffin. Incredible stuff from them.
Yeah, incredible execution with the Kraken. They played Fnatic like a fiddle, and that is going to be their